It's live now? Okay. Let me know when to start. Start now or just wait a few? Start. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. So we praise Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala for that which He has conferred upon us from favors and blessings. There are 2 minutes to count. From them is the facilitation of the likes of these gatherings for having a Salafi masjid in your area, having a masjid that is upon the way of the Salaf, on the Sunnah. This no doubt is a blessing that cannot be underscored. It is an extreme, a tremendous blessing. For where else other than the Masajid of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, if a person has mistakes in his understanding, if a person has mistakes in his ibadah, if a person has mistakes in his methodology, if a person has mistakes in his mu'amalat, the way that he deals with individuals, the way he deals with his family, the way he deals with his brothers, mistakes in his character, where else other than the Masajid of Ahl Sunnah can you have these mistakes corrected by your brothers who love you for the sake of Allah, who have no ulterior motives in how they may deal with you, no ulterior motives in how they may speak with you, and the likes of this. So this, no doubt, is a tremendous blessing from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. The title of today's lectures is centered around a statement of Imam al-Bukhari, in which he mentioned Bab al-ilmu qabl al-qawli wal-amal. He mentioned chapter, knowledge precedes speech and action. And this, no doubt, is a tremendous principle in the Deen of al-Islam, that if we intend to embark upon anything, if we intend to embark upon marriage, for example, a person should learn and become cognizant of the ahkam and the rulings that are connected to marriage and everything that is related to it. A person intends to make Hajj or Umrah, then he should learn the ahkam of Umrah and Hajj. How was the Hajj of the Messenger of Allah alayhi wasallam? How was his Umrah? Because the Messenger of Allah said alayhi wasallam, خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ, take from me your manasik, your ritual acts of Hajj and Umrah, take them from me. Take them from me, meaning do it as I have done it. A person intends to pray, he should learn and understand, become cognizant of the conditions, the pillars, the requirements of Salah. How did the Messenger of Allah pray, alayhi wasallam, where it says, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni wa salli, pray as you have seen me praying. So we need to learn, how did he pray, alayhi wasallam? We need to learn, how did he believe? And how did he teach his companions to believe? We need to learn these things and build our actions upon that knowledge. Whenever we intend to speak, we need to speak based upon ilm. So with my talk, inshallah ta'ala, it's not going to be too long, but I intend to take some benefit with you all from the narration of the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it comes with ad-Daraqutni. Likewise, Al-Hakim and Abu Dawood and the Nasa'i. And it has a number of different wordings. We'll look at 2 of them, inshallah ta'ala. And this narration, it comes on the authority of Amr ibn Shu'aib, and that which he reported from his father, and that which he reported from his grandfather, who is Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. That the Messenger of Allah said, alayhi salatu wasalam, man tatabbaba walam yakum bittib ma'rufa. Whoever practices medicine and he is not known, meaning he is not known to be proficient in that. He is not known to be a tabib. He is not known to have awareness and cognizance of the affairs connected to medicine. Yet he practices medicine. He says, فَأَصَابَ نَفْسًا فَمَا دُونَهَا فَهُوَ ضَامِنٌ. And he ends up harming someone. Or something which is less than that. I mean, he takes a life. Or he ends up doing something less than that. فَهُوَ ضَامِنٌ. Then he is liable. He's responsible. Now, Shaykh Salih Fawzan mentioned concerning this narration that the statement of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he said, "Man tatabbaba," whoever practices tib, whoever practices medicine, yani alaja al-marda, meaning that he heals and seeks to treat the marda. He seeks to treat the ill or the infirm. He says, for the tabib هو الذي يعالج المرضى بالعمليات الجراحية أو بالأدوية أو غير ذلك من أنواع العلاج. Because the tabib, the physician, is the one who treats those who are infirm. He treats those who are ill by way of surgery or by way of medicine or other than that, from the various types and means of علاج, a means of treatment. فيجب أن يكون الطبيب حاذقا. So therefore, it is obligatory upon the tabib, upon the physician, the one who engages in medicine, that he be حاذق, that he one who is proficient. He knows what he's doing. He must have the ilm of tib, must have knowledge of medicine. Now, ماهرا في الطب, he must be one who is skilled in that particular affair. ومعه شهادة تجيز له أن يمارس الطب والعلاج. And he has the proper credentials and certifications that will allow for him to practice medicine and to treat others. وهذا مثل قضية العلم الشرعي. And this is similar to the affair of legislative knowledge. Now, for this affair, ayyul ikhwa, it's not limited and restricted to tib, to medicine. But medicine has been mentioned here, as the ulama have mentioned, concerning this narration, due to the gravity and the weight of the affair and what lies in the balance. A person's health, a person's life is on the line. Now, but it is in all fields of service that an individual attempts to practice. So if a person puts himself forward to practice hijama, he is not skilled in hijama. A person puts himself forward to practice carpentry, and he is not skilled in carpentry. He doesn't know what he's doing. A person puts himself forward and he says, okay, you're having a conference, give me the money, I'll buy all the food and I'll cook it for you. And he burns everything up. He says, I can help you build your house. And he destroys the foundation of your home. Whoever puts himself forward to do something that he is not skilled to do, he does not have the proper knowledge and know-how to engage in that particular affair, for huwa dhamin. He is liable. He is responsible for whatever happens. He is responsible for the damage caused. Yes, sir.
I have a question. So, are we going to mention, like, for example, if a person is skilled and does have a...
We're going to mention that, inshallah. Now, and so it is in all services that a person may put himself forward to practice. Now, then he is responsible if a mishap were to take place. But the Shaykh, he mentions the kalam of Shaykh Salih Fawzan. He says this is like, for example, العلم الشرعي, legislative knowledge. لابد أن يكون المفتي أو القاضي, it is a must, it is a requirement that the one who puts himself forward to give fatwa and answer the people's questions, or he puts himself forward to rule and adjudicate between two contending parties, to be a judge in a specific matter. أو الذي يدعو إلى الله, or he puts himself forward for da'wah, to call to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. It is a must that he have ijaza min al-ulama. He must have the proper credentials. He must have the proper permissions from the ulama. I want to stop here for a second and mention by way of what is it that a person attains tazkiyah? Right? By way of what is it that a person may attain tazkiyah? The ulama, they say that a tazkiyah, any commendation or a recommendation for someone to teach and to give dawah and to spread knowledge and the likes of that, how does one acquire it? They say that one acquires this by way of one of three means. By way of one of three means. Okay? The first means is that a person attains tazkiyah from an alim or talib ilm, and that tazkiyah, it is verbal. It is verbal. And if someone verbally says, an alim verbally says, so-and-so is, and he's mustafid, you can take knowledge from him, and you can benefit from him, he has ilm, and so on and so forth, right? So one, it may be verbal, whether it is recorded, or when it verbally says, you may ask an alim, hey, I would like to sit with such and such, do you recommend that? And the alim says, yes, I recommend sitting with so-and-so. You can benefit from him, he has ilm, and so on and so forth. And so that tazkiyah, it is a verbal tazkiyah, whether it is recorded or one calls one of the ulama and asks them and they give you a response. The second type of tazkiyah, or that verb, it may be verbal or it may be written. It may be verbal or it may be written, excuse me. The second type of tazkiyah is that his contemporaries from the other ulama or other students of knowledge and du'ats who are known and trusted and have tazkiyat, they know about his dawah activity and they don't shut him down. They don't censor him. They don't say, no, this person knowledge should not be taken from him. Then this type of tacit approval, according to the ulama, is a type of tazkiyah. Other individuals who are well known, mu'tabar, they are trusted. Naam, they are trusted, and they themselves have tazkiyat. They know that this person is giving dawah, and yet they do not censor him. They do not censor him. They are aware, not if they are unaware, but they are aware. They know of his activity. Perhaps they even cooperate with him. Naam, and they don't censor him. They don't warn the people against him. And this is a type of tazkiyah. The third way that Ahl-Ilm has mentioned is that a person's actions are his tazkiyah. His actions are his tazkiyah. Look at his dawah. Look at what he calls to examine it. Listen to his speech. You find him calling to the way of the Salaf, calling to pure Tawheed and Sunnah, not having any hizbiyah, not having any innovation along with him. In his actions, his dawah itself, that is his tazkiyah. That is his tazkiyah. So Shaykh, he's saying that it is a must that a person have the proper ijazat. He must have those recommendations from Ahl Ilm or the other students of knowledge. وَأَنَّهُ يُصْلِحْ لِلْإِفْتَاء, that this person is qualified to give fatwa, or he is qualified to rule and adjudicate into people's affairs, or is qualified to give da'wah and to call to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. وَأَنَّهُمْ تَعَلَّمَ عَلَيْنَا, and that he has learned from us. For example, an alim may say, yes, he is our student, he has learned from us, he has benefited from us, therefore we recommend him. Naam, or qara'a al-kitab al-fulani, or this person has studied so-and-so book along with us, and thus he's qualified in that book. He has ijazah in that specific book. I taught him from cover to cover, so therefore he's qualified at the very least in that specific book. Now, واستفاد وصار مؤهلا. He has benefited and he came to be by way of that qualified. للعمل المكلف به, to do that specific job or duty that he has been entrusted with. He's qualified to be the imam. He's qualified to teach a dars or two here or there. Maybe he's qualified to teach the kids in the masjid. And like this. Now, كل هذه الأمور التي تنبني على التعلم سواء كانت شرعية, and all of these affairs, this is the basic principle, right? Because what? Knowledge precedes speech and action. It precedes speech and action. So this is the basic principle that we have with us, whether these affairs are legislative affairs, any religious matters, or other matters besides that. Or other matters besides that. Now, since the hadith is speaking about tib, right? And as we said, it's not limited or restricted to medicine. It's not limited or restricted to medicine, but medicine has been mentioned due to the gravity of the affair. People's health is on the line, people's limbs are on the line, and a person may give health advice. This is especially important in this day and time when you can Google everything. And some people unfortunately believe that your Google search, it's stronger than this person's medical degree. For some reason, your ability to go into Google and look up something, that holds more weight than this person's years and years and years of medical school and his medical degree, his PhD. Now, this is especially important in this day and time. Now, the Shaykh says, but this is in all affairs, سواء كانت شرعية أو غير شرعية, whether it is legislative, meaning it's religious, or not religious. لابد فيها من الإجازة من أهل الخبرة. It is a must that a person have ijaza, that he have the proper commendation and recommendations. He has the proper credentials. Now, from those who are qualified in the specific field, ومن أهلها المعتبرين, and from those who they themselves are qualified. نعم. فالطبيب إذا كان معه إجازة من الجهة المعتبرة كالجامعة, for the tabib, and this is from the blessing of knowledge, right? Ignorance, it has things that come along with it. Person not being qualified has things that come along with it, right? Just as knowledge, it has things that come along with it. Now, he says, فَالطَّبِيبُ إِذَا كَانَ مَعَهُ إِجَازَةً, because if the tabib is qualified, if he is qualified, he has the proper credentials. Now, from a well-known and reputable source, such as a particular university, أو طبيب معروف تعلم عليه, or another well-known qualified doctor. Now, he may have studied with that doctor. أو حاذق, or someone who himself is skilled in the affair, and he is proficient in the affair of medicine. He looks and examines this particular individual, and he says, yes, this person knows what he's talking about. He's qualified. He's qualified. Now, فَنَتَجَ عَنْ عِلَاجِهِ وَفَاتٍ, and if a person like this, as our brother, he started asking, right? If a person like this, he himself is qualified because he has the proper credentials. Now, he has been attested to as being skilled in his trade. If this person were to practice medicine and a mishap were to occur, something were to occur, a slip of the hand as he's making the cut, or something else detrimental were to occur to the client or to the patient, in that case, if he were to lose his limb, now, and he not intend to do that, nor was he transgressing and going beyond his level, then he is excused. He is pardoned. He is pardoned. He is not bombed. He's not liable. He's not liable. Now, because this person, he is attested to that he has skill and expertise in that particular field. If something were to occur from harm, then he is not liable. Why? Because he's excused. He's qualified and he's allowed to practice medicine. And whatever is brought about from the one who has been granted the proper credentials, this individual is not liable. This means that if, for example, Like some of the examples that we mentioned, right? I tell you, hey, I know that you're trying to build a house. All right, so your parents left you inheritance. You want to take that inheritance and build a house. Give me the money. I'll go buy all the supplies for you. I know how to build. I'll build you a nice house. Right? I get your money. I buy the supplies, and I mess the house all the way up. I mess the house all the way up. Now, if I, from the very beginning, I just saw it as a come up. I just saw it as a come up, a way for me to get money. I knew full well I didn't know what I was doing. Right? In that case, whatever money was squandered, I must give that back. I'm liable. That's what it means to be bondman. He's liable, right? He's responsible for repayment of whatever was lost in that specific affair. If a life was lost, then the blood money is due upon him. Now, if a limb was lost, now then retribution is due upon him. If money was lost, then that money is due upon the one who operated and provided a service that he was not qualified to provide. Now, أمن كان هذا الطبيب مدعٍ للطب. As for if the tabib is someone who is merely claiming to practice medicine, right? If he was just merely claiming to practice medicine, and again, not restricted to medicine, medicine is mentioned here as one example. It's in all fields, all fields. Like I said, food, person says, I can cook the food for you. Give it to me, I'll cook it. He burns everything up, right? Just messes all the food up. Person says, hey, I can do whatever you need me to do. You want me to provide some type of service, you want me to watch your kids? I'm skilled at babysitting. And the kid electrocutes himself. Whatever the case may be, a person says that he qualified to do something. It's not restricted to medicine. But if a person were to say that he practices medicine, he just mudda'in, he's just someone who's claiming to do so, right? Well, laysa ma'ahu ijaza, he has no credentials whatsoever. Not from any university, any medical school that is well known, or no other doctors attest to the fact that this person he's skilled, he knows what he's doing. Nah, then this person is outright liable for whatever damages are caused as a result of his negligence. One might say, who's going to do something like that? Who would go that far, right? I'll tell you who will go that far. An individual named Malachi Love Robinson. Malachi Love Robinson, known as Dr. Love. Dr. Love, right? In a few years ago, right, 2017, he was 18 years old. He posed as a doctor, opened up a whole clinic in Florida, and he was treating people, no medical degree. 18-year-old kid put himself forward as a doctor, right, and got arrested in his lab coat. Got arrested in his lab coat. As he was sentenced to 3.5 years for impersonating a doctor and defrauding his quote unquote, air quotes, patients by performing examinations upon them, testing them for certain things, and prescribing them medications. And he reportedly took about $50,000 from his clients until he was arrested. Likewise, a man named Oi Chin Wee, 37 years old, in Singapore. He posed on Facebook as a female gynecologist. A man on Facebook put himself forward as a female gynecologist. And he was eventually arrested, and it was said, it determined that he scammed dozens of women in order to get thousands of photos of their genitalia. That he was arrested and sentenced to 3 years and 4 months. Another individual named Derlyn Roberts, a woman, Derlyn Roberts. In 2017, she put herself forward as a sign language interpreter. Maybe you've seen this lady on the news. You can Google these names. Their stories are amazing, right? Google the name Malachi Love Robinson. Wee, you spell it OOI, Chin Wee, WEI. And Derlyn, DERLYN Roberts. In 2017, she put herself forward as a sign language interpreter for a news station in Tampa, Florida. In a story about a murder that had taken place then. And so Betty Bonnie, who was a licensed sign language interpreter, saw the woman on the news. She was just flailing her arms, just making gestures with her hands, like gang signs or something. All types of things, doing all types of things with her hands. She said that she was standing there, twisting her hands back and forth. And I can tell automatically that interpreters don't do that. Another professor of sign language interpretation named Rachel Settembrino. She said most of the time it looked like she was signing out, but not using actual signs. When she was spelling words out, she wasn't spelling anything at all. They were just gibberish more than anything. People will put themselves forward to do things that they are not qualified to do. Sometimes it may be for money. Sometimes it may be for recognition and attention. It may be for all types of reasons. People will do so. So the one that does that, whatever harm is caused, then they are liable. They are liable. نعم لأنه غير مأذون له بالعلاج. But the doctor who does so, he's liable. Why? Because he has no permission to do علاج, to practice medicine. فإذا ترتب على علاجه وفاة. So therefore, if death is brought about by way of him trying to treat someone, أو ترتب عليه, or some type of telef or destruction and loss to a body part or a limb and the likes of this as a result of his attempting to practice medicine, for huwa barman. He is liable. He is liable. He's responsible, or she is responsible for what they have put themselves forward to do. It's extremely important, ayyuhal ikhwa. As we said, knowledge precedes speech and action. Be patient. You want to be a doctor? Put the time in. Go to medical school. No big deal. Right? May Allah give you tawfiq in doing so. You want to practice carpentry? Whatever you intend to do, learn it. You want to practice hijama? Learn it. You want to practice, you want to be a chef? Learn that trade. Learn that skill. So that when you do it, you actually know what you're doing. You're qualified. And in that case, if something were to happen, some type of mishap, and you're qualified to do what you're doing, you're not liable. You're not liable. Why? Because you were skilled. You had the proper credentials, but Allah Ta'ala's decree intervened and something caused something to happen in this particular instance. Not your negligence. Not the fact that you were negligent. Now, he says, so this individual is like a criminal in the affairs of diyat, of blood money. Now, فَعَلَيْهِ دِيَ النَّفْسِ أو دِيَ الْعَدُوِ. So therefore, it is upon him to pay the blood money either for that life that was lost or their body part that was damaged. Now, لأن ما ترتب على غير مأذون فهو مأذون. Because whatever occurs as a result of the hand of that one who has not been allowed to do what he's doing, then he is matmoon. He is liable. This is a general principle that we have with us, Shaykh Salih Fawzan. He mentions على غير المأذون فهو مأذون. For whoever attempts to practice while not being qualified, then that individual is liable. ومن هنا فهؤلاء المشعوذون والذين يدعون الطب الشعبي. So due to this, we say, he says that these charlatans, these phonies, these frauds, and those who claim to practice what they call like folk medicine, right? These old household remedies, like they used to, my grandmother told me to do this and it'll help with the flu, right? Person is sick, he got the flu, give him some whiskey. And the likes of this, right? Folk medicine, they call it, right? Old household remedies. And other than this, either tarataba ala abathihim at-talaf, that if due to their playing around with people, playing around with people's health, playing around with their lives, some type of destruction is brought about to a soul or to a body part, then they are liable. Again, as we said, people will Google something, they will Google something and say, no, your doctor told you wrong. You don't need to be taking that medicine. Rather, just eat a bunch of peaches or something like that and you'll be fine. Right? That person may trust you, love you, take your health advice that you gave them based upon your desires, right? And based upon your Google search. And they leave off the advice of one who's qualified, of their doctor. and they take your advice, and thus their illness increases, they'll cause harm by way of that, then you are responsible. You brought that harm upon your brother. You brought that harm upon your sister. Yes, sir.
Can you give us some like examples on how liability is paid on different circumstances?
Again, like as the Sheikh mentioned, his speech in its kifaya for us. A person may cause a person to die as a result of health advice which he gave, right? Or as a result of some prescription that he gave, or a result of something that he did that he was not qualified to do. So in this case, the blood money is incumbent upon him if you cause loss of a life. Or for example, if I take your money and I tell you, like I said, like the example I gave, I say, okay, you give me $10,000, I'll be able to aid you in the construction of your home, right? Then that $10,000 is now upon me. I must return it to you. I must give it back. I am bondman. I'm liable. So whatever money was lost, whatever wealth was lost in that specific affair, it must be returned because the one who put himself forward for that khidmah, he is bond. He is liable. No.
Question about so there are medical professionals that um, did go to school, did the residency, the fellowship, everything. However, they take advantage of their qualifications and
Mm-hmm.
use that to um, they use that to creep on people. For example, let's say I'm a medical doctor. I know you don't need this, but I'm still prescribing it to you because I want to get paid. What do you say?
Yeah, we say that this is like dealing with people's health and on these types of things are an amana. It's an amana, right? And as with every amana, it needs to be dealt with sincerity and truthfulness, right? With sincerity and truthfulness. We don't even if a person may be, like you said, skilled or qualified, he has the credentials, he starts prescribing things that a person is not in need of, that he knows will harm the person. Then in that case, yes, because as Ibn Haji he mentioned that whoever speaks in that which he is not qualified to speak in will say strange things. Like you say, you know that this medicine is harmful, right? You know it harms, but you're prescribing it anyway. You prescribe it anyway. Why? Why? Right? And we're going to see some speech from Sheikh Obey in this regard as well, because the thing that pushes a lot of people to operate in fields where they don't have expertise is the love of money. It's the love of wealth. Person may prescribe something because it helps them reach a bottom line and the likes of this. No, but anyway, Sheikh Saleh he mentions that نعم لأنهم غير مأذون لهم بمزاولة العلاج. And this is because their liability is due to the fact that they have not been granted the proper credentials for them to practice ilaj, to practice medicine. وعملهم هذا جناية. So therefore, this action of theirs is a crime. It's a crime. Now, he says that والذين يدفعون إلى هذا الطلب المال نعم وحب المال فيطببون لو كانوا جحالا من أجل طلب المال فلو أنه نفذ هذا الحكم الشرعي عليهم لامتنع كثير منهم من الدخول في شيء لا يحسنه. He says because if it were the case that and what pushes a lot of people to do this affair, the Sheikh says, is the love of the love of wealth, is the love of money. He said, but if it were the case that the rulings of the legislation will be implemented upon people who do this, then you'll find that people will not put themselves forward to do what they're not qualified to do. Right? If we were to implement the Sharia upon these individuals, every time they do it, they will not put themselves forward to do that which they are not qualified to do. Concerning his statement for Huwa that he is liable, he says, I Huwa Barman, the Ennahu Janin. Why? Because he's a criminal. He's liable. Why? Because he's a criminal. He says, so therefore he is liable on the account of his crime. His crime has made him liable. It has made him responsible. ودل بمفهومه على أنه لو كان معروفا مشهودا له بالطب. So the understanding that we get from this is that if an individual is, he is ma'rufan, he's known to be skilled in medicine. This has been attested to for him. Now, and he is qualified, he is proficient, he is not transgressing his scope of knowledge, not going beyond the scope of knowledge. And he is not liable. He he is not liable if something were to happen. Now, وإذا كان هذا في أنفس, but if this is the case, right? If this is the case as it relates to people's lives, people's health, people's limbs and body parts, and the likes of this, he says, for kayfa bid-deen, how much more so with the deen, with the religion of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala? How much more so with the deen, right? That a person, you ask him questions about the religion that he knows he doesn't know the answer to, and he answers anyway. He answers anyway. Or he puts himself forward to teach the people. He jumps on Facebook, hops in front of a bookshelf, cuts on his camera, and starts talking about the religion of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. This is worse. This is worse. He says, now, he says, how about those who يدعون علم, they claim knowledge, ويتعالمون, and they feign knowledge. They act as though they have ilm, right? The ulama, they say knowledge is 3 handspans, right? Knowledge is 3 handspans. That if a person, he completes the first handspan of knowledge and stops there, he's going to become arrogant. He's going to become arrogant. If he goes to the second handspan and stops there, not complete the third, yata'alam, he will begin to feign knowledge. Yatawada, he's going to feign humility. He's going to act like he has knowledge and act like he has humility. Why? Not because the knowledge that he did have has humbled him, but he learned enough to know that humility is the characteristic of the people of knowledge. So therefore, he's going to feign knowledge and feign humility. But if he goes and completes the third handspan of ilm, at that point, he will truly become humble because he's going to know at that point, he really knows nothing at all. He's going to realize that the more you learn, the more you will know that I'm only scratching the surface in knowledge. He will know that he doesn't know anything. He says, what about those who claim ilm? They claim knowledge and they feign knowledge. ويفتون الناس, and they give fatwa to the people. ويحكمون على أحاديث الرسول بأنها موضوعة, and they begin making rulings upon the ahadith of the Messenger of Allah alayhi wasallam. This hadith is fabricated. That hadith is weak. And in reality, they are ignorant. They don't know the ahkam of the science of hadith. فكيف بالذي يدعون علم لمجرد أنهم طالعوا في كتاب? How much more so for those individuals who they claim knowledge? Why? Merely due to the fact that they read a book or two. They read a book or two, right? They may read a book. You find this with some of you. Sometimes they read a book, learn something they didn't know, and now they want to come to the next day to the master, start testing brothers. Hey, you know about this right here? Yeah, he just learned it yesterday. You know about this right here? Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? Neither did you yesterday. Now, he says that simply because they read a book. Now, وَلَمْ يَجْلِسُوا إِلَى عَالَمٍ, but he did not sit with an alim. He did not sit with an alim. Now, he did not engage in any circles of knowledge, nor any organized type of study. And he does not bear the proper credentials from Ahlul Ilm. هذا أشد من الطبيب. He said, this is more severe than the fake doctor. All right, this is more severe than a fake doctor. He says, because this individual harms the deen, whereas the fake doctor, he may harm the body. He may harm the body, right? And harm of one's deen is more severe than harm of one's body. Now, this individual, he begins to speak regarding the affairs of the religion, saying this is halal. When in reality, Allah has not made it halal. He says this is haram. In reality, Allah has not made that thing haram. And he speaks about Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala without ilm, without knowledge. And this affair is extremely dangerous. Shaykh Salih says, لِهَذَا قِيلَ, due to this it is said, يَفْسَدُ الْعَالَمْ أَحَدُ أَرْبَعَ, that one of 4 things cause harm to the world. One of 4 things cause harm to the world. The first of them, nisfu tabib, a half of a doctor. Person learned a little bit about tib, and now he starts practicing medicine. So he's half of a doctor, not a whole doctor. He didn't get all of the credentials that were necessary. So he's half a doctor, and he begins operating and practicing medicine, and thus he harms the health of the people, causes harm to the people's lives. Nisf al-tabib, half of a doctor. Likewise, nisf al-faqih, a half of a faqih, a half of a faqih. He learns a little bit about fiqh. He begins issuing fatwa. He begins speaking about the affairs of the religion. هذا يفسد البلدان. So the first one, the nisf al-tabib, يفسد al-abdan. He harms the bodies. The nisf al-faqih, he harms al-buldan. He harms the lands. والنصف متكلم. The third is half of a mutakallim, half of one who he's a speaker. He learns a little bit about how good speaking points and the likes of this, not really understanding the affair of kalam. Now he studies ilm kalam, it doesn't complete that, and thus he begins speaking. This person harms the religion. He harms the religion. والنصف نحوي, and a half of a grammarian. Person learns a little bit about nahu, about Arabic grammar, right? And thus he begins speaking in particular affairs, and oftentimes he doesn't have the discipline to stop, right, where he needs to stop at. So thus the lines become blurred between nahu and deen, right? Nahu and deen, and thus this individual causes harm to the lisan, causes harm to one's speech. In conclusion, Shaykh Ubayd, he likewise commented upon this narration. Shaykh Ubayd, well, we'll read first from the Kalam of Shaykh As-Sa'di alayhi rahmatullah, as it is short, and then go into the points that Shaykh Ubayd he extracted from that. As-Sa'di said concerning the narration, and his wording, the wording that is brought with Abu Dawood and Nasa'i, is من تطبب ولم يعلم منه طب فهو ضامن. Whoever practices medicine, wow, this is not something which is known from him, meaning that he is a doctor. فهو ضامن, he is liable. As-Sa'di says, هذا الحديث يدل بلفظه. This narration, with its wording and its contents, indicate أنه لا يحل لأحد أن يتعاطى صناعة من الصناعات وهو لا يحسنها. That it is not permissible for anyone to operate in any field that he is not proficient in. سواء كان طبا أو غيره, whether it is medicine or something else. Whether it is medicine or something else. He says, وأن من تجرأ على ذلك فهو آثم. And that whoever embarks upon that, whoever is so bold as to embark upon that, then he's a sinner. He's a sinner. وما ترتب على عمله من تلف نفس أو عدو أو عدو أو نحوهما. And so whatever is brought about as a result of that, from the loss of a life or a body part and the likes of that, for who ضامن له, and he is liable for, he's responsible. He must compensate the one who has been caused harm. وما أخذه من المال في مقابلة تلك الصناعة التي لا يحسنها فهو مردود على باذل. And so whatever he has taken of wealth, and this is to answer the brother's question, whatever he has taken of wealth in exchange for that trade which he was not skilled in, was not qualified in, it must be returned back to the one who gave it. Why? Because he did not give that wealth except due to being deceived and due to him thinking that this person who he was giving his money to was skilled, was qualified. وَلَا يُحْسِن. In reality, he was not good or not skilled or qualified. فَيَدْخُلُ فِي الْغِشِّ. So therefore, this is a type of deception, a type of cheating and scheming or deception. وَمَنْ غَشَّنَا فَلَيْسَ مِنَّا. The Prophet said, whoever deceives us is not of us. Whoever deceives us is not of us. And similar to this is some of the examples that we mentioned. Building, carpentry, person puts himself forward as a blacksmith. Now, a person puts himself forward as a beater or a weaver. and the likes of that. Nam, and he puts himself forward for that while not being qualified. Nam, for huwa kadhib. He's a liar. He's a liar in reality. And he again mentions what we mentioned previously, that the understanding that we get from that is one who is qualified and has all the credentials. If something were to happen or occur due to a slip of his hand and the likes of that, then he is not liable. He is not liable and not responsible. Now, what we also extract from this narration, Sa'di says, is that the science of medicine and the trade of medicine is from those ulum that are nafi'a, matluba shar'an. They are from those affairs that are beneficial and something which is desirable from a legislative standpoint. And Allah knows best. Shaykh Ubaidi says, and we'll conclude with this 3 points. He says, "Aqulu huna thalath asnaf." So therefore, there are three categories of people in this regard. There are three categories of people in this regard. A sinful awwal, the first category, sinfun gharu hadiqin fi sana'atihi. A group that they are not skilled and not qualified in whatever trade they choose to embark upon and engage in. So one cannot tibban, whether it may be medicine, whether it may be engineering or carpentry or plumbing or electrical work or other than that. هذا هو الذي, this is the one who is liable. This is the one who's liable and thus responsible. لأنه غش الناس بالدعواه ما ليس عنده من العلم, because he has deceived and tricked the people by way of claiming that which he has no knowledge in. That's the first category. Second category, a sinful thani, man huwa hadiq. He is skilled. He is qualified in his trade. He's trustworthy. He has the proper credentials in that which he practices in. Nam, how that this individual is not liable as long as he is skilled and trustworthy to do whatever he's doing. Why? Because he has not deceived anyone. He has not deceived anyone. He was actually qualified. He attempted, and some type of mishap happened. Allah's decree intervened, as we said, and something occurred. This person is not liable for whatever happened. Now, a sinful thalith, the third category, al-mufarrid alladhi yusin as-sun'a. So listen to this one, right? This is one who he actually is good and skilled at what he does, right? But maybe he has others working under him, and he's negligent of what they're doing. He's negligent of what his employees are doing. He does not watch over them properly, right? He does not properly screen his employees to make sure that they have the proper skills and expertise and credentials, and he lets them work under him, and thus they cause harm. Now he is liable, even though he had the skills, even though he had the skills and the credentials. Due to his negligence, they cause harm under him, so now he is liable. This is that which we wanted to mention due to the connection that it has to the topic that knowledge precedes speech and action. We say Allah Ta'ala knows best. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وخير دعوانا and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. So our brothers, Shaykh Hassan is here as well as Shaykh Jamil. So we leave it to them, inshallah ta'ala. No, tfaddal.
This is in regards to medicine. As someone deeply interested in the field of medicine, it doesn't necessarily have to do with taking advantage or having under your employees, doing things behind the back and whatnot. This has to do with cost per se, so it is a bit off topic. But the rising cost of medicine can be quite a lot for people who want to pursue medicine. What do you say are other? Because another alternative people do is they go to the military or try to do something. But I want to know your take on someone who goes with the military route to become a medical professional to take care of the people and take care of the Muslims and whatnot.
So a person who goes and acquires the skill with the intention on aiding the Muslims and making things easy for the Muslims like this. What's my take on that?
Obviously, he's in a far country, so he can't necessarily, take care of the Muslims, but take care of the people pretty much.
Yeah, it's a noble intention. It's a noble intention, and we say that we hope this person will be rewarded for his action and for his intention. This is a noble thing that a person does something like that, observing the rising cost of medical supplies and medicine and likes of this. So he goes and acquires the necessary skills with the intention on aiding and assisting the people. And this is a noble reason, and this is why a person should get into a field like that with the intention on aiding the people and making things easy for the people and likes of this. So this is no doubt a noble thing, and we encourage someone to do something like this. This is why, like even as it relates to dunyawi knowledge, there's certain type of dunyawi knowledge is fardun kifaya, right? That somebody has to have it amongst the Muslims. Somebody has to have it in order to be able to take those skills and to bring it back to the Muslim community and thus benefit the Muslims by way of that. As you said, of course, living over here, you can't restrict your service to one sector of the population over another. But still, no, if this is a part of your intention, then it's a noble intention, and it's something we encourage with all.
Even if through the military, that okay?
As far to the military, like I said, whoever, as Ibn Hajar mentioned, whoever speaks regarding something which is not a specialty will say strange things, and I'm not qualified to answer that question. So therefore, I'm not going to say much beyond what I've already said. No.
One of the hadith that you mentioned, "La shana fi sabilillah," is that for Muslim only, or is that you English to
Cheating is not and deceiving is not from the characteristics of the Muslims, right? This is not like something that's a part of our characteristics, right? We are honest people. We are upright. We don't cheat and deceive anybody, Muslim or Catholic, right? We don't want to let cheating and deceiving people become something that's easy for us to do, even with a Catholic, all right? And even in that instance, as far as we know, the permissible times to lie, so on and so forth, times of war and battle, and even the lie is not an outright blatant, falsehood. We don't want our tongues to get accustomed to and used to just telling outright lies and the likes of this. So, nah, Muslim or Kafir, it's not from the characteristic of the Muslim to go around deceiving and tricking people. Um, Brother Coffee. Next lecture, I think it's going to be sometime soon. I don't know if they're going to start now or after the door, but we have two lectures coming up, Sheikh Hassan and Sheikh Jamil.